Welcome back to West America Facts, your go-to channel for fascinating stories from the wild, wild West. I'm your host, Stuart, and today we're diving deep into the untamed medical world of the Old West. Now hold on to your cowboy hats, folks, because the Old West wasn't all about shootouts and showdowns. It was also a place where pioneers needed some serious medical help. But here's the kicker. Most of those frontier doctors didn't have a fancy medical degree. Can you believe it? Epidemics, accidents, and even some not-so-friendly infections kept these doctors on their toes. But trust me, when it came to treatments, things got a bit wilder than you might imagine. Picture this. You've got a fever out on the frontier, and you're in dire need of a cure. Well, you might just stumble upon a so-called doctor who suggests drinking sulfur or applying leeches as a remedy. Yikes. But that's not the half of it. Our story takes us to Richmond, California, during the Gold Rush days. This bustling town attracted not one, not two, but a whopping 29 doctors. And guess what? They were kept busier than a tumbleweed in a dust storm. One doctor's wife spilled the beans, saying, "In the short space of 24 days, we have had several slayings, fearful accidents, whippings, and a duel. It was a wild, wild time, indeed." Now, here's the real kicker. Some of these treatments were downright dangerous. Ever heard of a mercury compound that makes your teeth fall out? Yeah, they were into that. Surgery without anesthesia? You bet. One daring doc even thought it was a bright idea to bleed patients from the jugular. Ouch. It's no wonder some pioneers thought these frontier doctors were working for the devil himself. So sit tight, folks, because today we're taking a journey back in time to explore the gritty, risky, and downright bizarre world of frontier medicine. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on the wildest stories from West America Facts. Untrained frontier doctors performed experimental procedures. In the days of the Wild West, when the land was vast and the towns were small, things were different, especially when it came to medicine. You see, back then, doctors didn't always have fancy degrees hanging on their walls. In fact, some of these doctors didn't have any formal training at all. It was a time when the frontier was short on medical professionals, and that created a space for some rather unique characters to step into the world of medicine. One such character was a man named John Richmond. He wasn't your typical doctor. In fact, he started his career as a janitor at a medical school. But John was no ordinary janitor. He had a thirst for knowledge, and he spent his days sweeping the floors and his nights listening in on lectures. He soaked up every bit of medical wisdom he could, and he soon began to call himself a doctor. One fateful night in 1827, when the moon hung high in the sky, John Richmond found himself faced with a daunting task. A pregnant woman was in desperate need of help, and there was no one else around who could do what needed to be done. It was in that moment that John made a decision that would go down in history. He decided to perform a Caesarean section, a procedure he had only heard about in lectures, never seen before. Armed with nothing but a few basic instruments he had in his pocket, John Richmond embarked on this daring journey. He later wrote about that night, saying, "Finding that whatever was done must be done soon, and feeling a deep and solemn sense of my responsibility, with only a case of common pocket instruments, about 1 o'clock at night I commenced the Caesarean section." Now you might be wondering, what exactly is a Caesarean section? Well, it's a surgical procedure to deliver a baby when a mother can't give birth naturally. It's not a simple task, and it's certainly not something you'd expect a janitor to perform. But John Richmond was determined, and he had a sense of duty that outweighed any fear. As he began the procedure, the room was filled with tension. The patient, a brave woman in the throes of pain, never once complained during the entire process. Imagine that, going through surgery in the middle of the night, with only a janitor turned doctor to rely on. It was a true test of courage and trust. But here's the twist in the tale. While the mother did survive the procedure, the same could not be said for the child. It was a heartbreaking outcome, and it left a shadow of doubt over John Richmond's claim of success. In a book by author Jacqueline Wolfe called Caesarean Section, An American History of Risk, Technology, and Consequence, it's revealed that the patient begged John to stop because of the excruciating pain she endured. So, was it really a success? That's a question that still lingers in the air, even after all these years. Some say John Richmond was a hero, a man who stepped up when no one else could. Others argue that his lack of formal training and the tragic outcome cast a dark cloud over his actions. But you see, the Wild West was a place of rugged individualism and uncharted territory. It was a place where ordinary people did extraordinary things simply because there was no one else to do them. John Richmond was just one example of the many unsung heroes of that time. As we journey through this tale of the Wild West, let's take a moment to imagine what life was like back then. The frontier was a vast expanse of untamed wilderness, where towns were few and far between. It was a land where danger lurked around every corner, and survival often depended on your wits and your ability to adapt. In those days, medical knowledge was limited and doctors were a rare sight. Most folks had to rely on home remedies, herbal concoctions, and a healthy dose of hope when they fell ill. It was a time when a simple infection could turn deadly, and a broken bone could mean the end of a livelihood. But amidst the challenges, there were those who dared to defy the odds. They were the self-taught healers, the ones who took it upon themselves to learn the art of medicine, often through trial and error. They didn't have the luxury of medical schools or textbooks, but they had something just as valuable: determination. Take, for instance, the case of Mary Turner. She was a woman of the Wild West who had a reputation for her knowledge of herbs and their healing properties. Mary lived on the outskirts of a small frontier town, and her little cabin was a haven for those in need. One sweltering summer day, a young cowboy named Tom rode into town, clutching his stomach in agony. He had eaten something that didn't agree with him, and the pain was unbearable. Tom's friends rushed him to Mary Turner's cabin, where they hoped her herbal remedies could work their magic. Mary took one look at Tom's pale face and knew she had to act fast. She brewed a concoction of peppermint and chamomile, known for their soothing properties. As Tom sipped the warm tea, he could feel the pain slowly ebbing away. Mary's gentle smile reassured him that he was in capable hands. Over the next few days, Tom stayed at Mary's cabin, recovering from his ordeal. He learned about the power of herbs and the importance of knowing the land. Mary shared her wisdom with him, teaching him which plants were friends and which were foes. It was a lesson that would stay with Tom for the rest of his life. Now you might be wondering, why didn't Tom go to a proper doctor in town? Well, the truth was, the nearest town with a doctor was a day's ride away, and Tom didn't have that kind of time. In the Wild West, distances were vast, and sometimes the closest help was a friendly neighbor with a knowledge of herbs. As the days turned into weeks, Tom's gratitude for Mary Turner deepened. He realized that there were healers like her scattered throughout the frontier, each with their unique skills and knowledge. They were the unsung heroes of the Wild West, the ones who patched up wounds, eased pain, and offered a glimmer of hope in the face of adversity. But it wasn't just herbalists who played a crucial role in the world of frontier medicine. There were also those who dabbled in more unconventional methods. Take, for example, the case of Doc Patterson, a man known for his unorthodox approach to healing. Doc Patterson was a character like no other. He didn't have a medical degree, and his methods were far from scientific. But what he lacked in formal training, he made up for with his boundless enthusiasm and a flair for the dramatic. One scorching afternoon, a group of cowboys brought their injured friend to Doc Patterson's makeshift clinic, which was little more than a canvas tent. The injured cowboy had a nasty gash on his leg, the result of a tangle with a barbed wire fence. It was a deep wound, and infection was setting in. Doc Patterson took one look at the injured cowboy and proclaimed, "Fear not, my good man, for I have just the remedy to mend your wounded limb." With that, he pulled out a bottle of what he called his miracle elixir and poured it generously over the wound. The cowboy winced in pain as the liquid stung, but Doc Patterson assured him it was all part of the healing process. To everyone's astonishment, the injured cowboy's wound began to heal remarkably quickly. In a matter of days, he was up and walking again, as if the injury had never happened. Word of Doc Patterson's miracle elixir spread like wildfire, and soon, people from all around came to him for their ailments. Now you might be thinking, what was in that miracle elixir? Well, that was a closely guarded secret. Doc Patterson never revealed the ingredients of his concoction, and he liked to keep an air of mystery about his methods. Some said it was nothing more than whiskey with a dash of honey, while others believed it contained herbs with magical properties. Regardless of what was in the elixir, there was no denying that Doc Patterson had a gift for showmanship. He could turn even the most dire of situations into a spectacle, and people couldn't help but be drawn to his charisma. But the Wild West wasn't just a place of individual healers and unconventional methods. It was also a time of great innovation in the field of medicine. Despite the challenges of the frontier, there were those who were determined to push the boundaries of medical knowledge. One such pioneer was Dr. Emily Chambers, a woman ahead of her time. Dr. Chambers had trained as a physician in the East before making her way to the Wild West. She was met with skepticism and resistance from many in the frontier towns who were not accustomed to seeing a woman in a white coat. Undeterred by the naysayers, Dr. Chambers set up a clinic in a small town and began treating patients with care and compassion. She was known for her meticulous approach to medicine and her unwavering dedication to her patients' well-being. Her clinic became a beacon of hope for those in need of medical attention. One bitterly cold winter, an epidemic of influenza swept through the town, leaving many in its grip. Dr. Chambers worked tirelessly, going from house to house to tend to the sick. She knew that time was of the essence, and her expertise was crucial in saving lives. As she made her rounds, Dr. Chambers encountered a young boy named Jimmy, who was struggling to breathe due to the severity of his illness. She immediately recognized the signs of pneumonia and knew that quick action was needed. With the help of her trusted nurse, Sarah, she administered treatment and kept a vigilant watch over Jimmy through the long nights. It was a harrowing ordeal, but Dr. Chambers' dedication paid off. Jimmy slowly but surely began to recover, and the epidemic gradually loosened its grip on the town. The grateful townsfolk saw Dr. Chambers not just as a doctor, but as a guardian angel who had come to their aid in their darkest hour. Dr. Chambers' success challenged the prevailing notions of her time, proving that women could excel in the field of medicine. She paved the way for future generations of female physicians and left a lasting legacy in the Wild West. As we reflect on the stories of John Richmond, Mary Turner, Dot Patterson, and Dr. Emily Chambers, we see a tapestry of frontier medicine, woven together by the threads of courage, innovation, and determination. These were individuals who faced adversity head-on, who dared to step into the unknown, and who made a difference in the lives of those they touched. In the Wild West, where the vast landscape stretched as far as the eye could see, and where challenges lurked behind every cactus and canyon, these healers were beacons of hope. They were proof that in the most unlikely of places, in the harshest of times, the human spirit could rise above, offering solace, relief, and healing. So, the next time you find yourself in a doctor's office, with the sterile surroundings and the modern equipment, take a moment to remember the unsung heroes of the Wild West. They may not have had degrees on their walls or the latest medical advancements at their disposal, but they had something far more valuable, a determination to heal, no matter the odds. Thanks for watching our video about what it was like going to a doctor in the Wild West. We hope you enjoyed taking this journey back in time with us. Now we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this wild adventure? Did you learn something new or find it interesting? Leave a comment below and let us know. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can join us for more exciting content in the future. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to bring you more amazing stories and experiences.